Do you know that the most beautiful chapters in our lives do not have title until moments later? If you don't, now you do. With that in mind, I've decided to take you through the journey of figuring out your life chapter. With me, Adunkansola, and my guest in the studio today is a motivational writer, a journalist, and a voiceover artist. Her name is S01. After the short break, we get to meet her and we get to talk about how you can discover the chapter of your life. Welcome back, and I'm glad that you are still here because, my dear, you're not doing anything wrong by doing that. Like I said earlier, we have a guest in the studio whose name is S01. I said earlier that she's a motivational writer, a journalist, and a voiceover artist. How are you doing, Sioni?
I'm fine.
How was the day and everything?
The day was fine, thank you.
Thank you for coming on the show today.
You're welcome.
So today we'll be talking about figuring the chapter of your life.
Okay.
So what would you call the chapter of your life right now?
Well, I would say it's a transition chapter. Like I'm moving, like I'm in phases.
You're in phases. If you were to give it a title, like say you have a book, or you're going through a novel, and this novel has subtitle, what would you call the title of this chapter of your life right now?
I'll call it self-awareness.
Why would you call it self-awareness?
Because at this point in my life, I'm beginning to realize a lot of things about me that were in obscurity in past years. Like they are now coming to light. I can now see, okay, this is who I am, these are my preferences, these are things that are deal breakers for me in relationship with people. These are my ideologies about life. Yeah, so that is why I'll call it that.
Okay, so for people that are actually listening to us that they don't even know what a chapter or a title of life could be, how do you help somebody know that, okay, at this moment in my life, this is what I'm going through and it has to be a name, it has to be a face? How do you let people know that?
Okay, yeah. You need to understand that life is in phases. Like there are different stages of life. There's a stage one. When you pass that stage is when you move on to the next stage, and on and on and on like that. And it may take years, and it may feel like you're stuck in one particular stage. Okay, but then you need to learn some certain lessons, because those lessons will prepare you for the next stage in which you want to go to. Okay, so whatever stage you are in life, it's perfectly okay. You don't have to beat yourself up, and maybe you're seeing your friends there out there or people around you. It's like their lives are together and yours is just in shambles. They are in their stage and you are in yours. So you don't have to put yourself under any pressure.
Speaking of that, I would like to actually share my own chapter, the title of my own chapter.
Okay.
I think the title of my own chapter will be The Act of Adulting. Because right now, before I used to see myself as this little girl, some little girl, mommy's girl and daddy girl. And I know I'm still that girl, but now I just feel like I'm doing things that I'm now realizing that, oh yeah, this is adulting, and
of
like
course,
this is adulthood. And people will say adulthood is calm, like gee, it is calm. But then at the same time, I'm trying to understand that I have to own up to myself. Like I have to, I have responsibilities. I have something I can do for myself.
Of course.
There was a time I had to pick out pen and biro and say, my name is Adunkansola and nobody owes me this. And
I think everybody needs to do that.
I'm responsible for my action.
Of course.
I have to say sorry to people. I have to own up to my mistakes. And, at that point, I feel like, okay, am I just the only one thinking this way? Is every other person around me doing the same?
Of course, yeah. I passed to that stage, I think years ago when I was a bit younger. I don't like to think of myself as old, but then I can say when I was younger, I passed through that stage too. When I came to realize that, okay, yes, you are in charge of your life. There's nobody that's going to do your things for you. You call your shots. You are the one that if you fail or you succeed, is right in your hands. Like you are the determinant. Nobody's going to boss you around. You boss yourself around. Nobody's going to push you, try to make you do things. You have to stand up and change that remote control if you don't like the channel. Okay. Yeah.
So in the part of confusing what to do when you're trying to figure out what chapter of your life you are right now, we get situations whereby you are trying to do something for yourself, make something for yourself, and you get yourself involved in so many things and are juggling things here and there. How do you come to just come back and settle in and pick it one at a time?
Well, that is one area where a lot of people miss it. Like they feel maybe when they take on so many tasks, they can find expression in doing a whole lot of things. I was once like that too. I don't like talking about myself too much, but then what other example would I use? Yeah. So there were times where there was a time I rapped, I sang, I danced, I did a whole lot of things. But then at some point, it just came naturally. I just shared those weights. It will come naturally. There are times where you just come to realize that I can't do everything. Okay, let me just major on the major and not major on the minor. All right,
Okay.
you come to understand that some parts of your life needs 100% attention. Some parts of your life needs just lesser. So you can focus more on that part that needs focus and shed every other weight.
Okay, so I've asked this question first, but I'm actually bringing it on iris.
All right.
Now, for people that don't know that the process of figuring out your chapter of your life first is has to be in talking to God. You understand? Try to
yeah.
be close to God, and when you hear things from God, when God talks to you, you know that oh, this is this phase and this is what I'm supposed to do. But for you, did you immediately just run to God, or before it took you a while later before you went to God?
Yeah, well, I'm like every other person now. We human beings, we are very stubborn. I like to say a lot. We all have big heads. It's until when we are our backs are on the wall. It's until when we are at our like neck deep in whatever. That's when we know God. But then it doesn't have to be like that. Okay, we can just from the onset, it helps when you have this thriving relationship with God, and prayer is not just routine for you.
Yeah.
You can just up in the morning and say, God, I'm here. Oh, see me here. Like I'm here. You have to help me with this. But not the waiting when you still have to like holy, holy, aura, presence of God stuff before you pray. Okay, it helps when you have this body relationship with God. You can easily say anything you want to say to Him. You don't have to wait until you are too burdened before, because by then it will be even more difficult. That's when you see some people that they get depressed and they lose hope. It's because from the very beginning they've sidelined God. They've put God at the side. Okay, so when they are now overwhelmed, it's just like someone drowning. Person can shout.
Yeah.
So before you drown, while you can still shout before it gets to that stage.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're
So
welcome.
we've had from Oluwaseun Mohammed, she said, turn to God all the time. Don't allow things to, get to the extreme before you turn to God. And take it one step at a time. Always and always and always know that these things are temporary stuff. They are not permanent. So, Sion, I want you to just tell me a particular story at a point where you feel like, if I'm not intruding your privacy.
Okay, that's fine.
But it's fine just to share, just to like let people know that this thing, sometimes some people might just say, they're just talking, Jerry, they don't know what I'm going through. Do you understand?
That's not true.
And most time people say, no, but you go motivate me. But, until when you tell somebody that I have a story like this too, and you too can get out of it. So do you have anything in mind to just tell people?
Yeah, I have a lot. But then, okay, I'll talk about this one. Yeah, I'll say I'm fresh out of a breakup. I just broke out.
It's fine.
Break off
is
out
allowed.
of a 4-year relationship. It would turn 5 this year, but then I just realized guy wasn't, not that he's a good person, he's a great guy, but then the connection wasn't there. We just weren't clicking. I don't know, he loved me, okay, but I couldn't feel the love, okay. I don't know if he had a hard time expressing his love for me, or I had a hard time responding to the love, but in everything that we did, we just weren't matching. We had these frictions, constant disagreements, and all of that. Yeah, and I had to break up. It was very painful. It's still painful. Hi. But then baby girl just has to be strong and just move on. So that's why I said this stage is like a transition for me, because at this stage, I now came to realize that I should have had the courage to have broken up a long time ago, but then I just wasn't in the stage to do that. This is the right stage for me. If I had broken up with him like 2-3 years ago, my enemy might have run mad, because I wouldn't have had the strength of character to deal with it. I wouldn't even deal with it well. I may be depressed. I might have done something really, really detrimental to myself, but now here I am. In the breakup, and I'm still fine.
I'm glory to God, I'm glad. But then I want to just like talk about the times that things were actually like beautiful and rosy. Do you understand? But those times, would you ever think that, okay, because actually nobody prays that, oh, when something is sweet, it goes down. But is it like at that point you've actually seen some signs, or But what did you do at that time?
At those times when we had good times, I always had it at the back of my mind that hope you know that these good times are short-lived. Hope you know that you guys will so fight.
So you had
there was always this. Yeah, I knew, because like the way we go from good to sour is like at the snap of a finger. Like we could be just playing and laughing and having a good time, and in the next moment it just snaps and everything So I always knew, and with that, the way we easily switch from good to bad was like a red flag for me.
Okay.
So
But it's fine. I'm glad that you are going through the process of
Yeah.
healing, and I pray God helps you.
Thank
So, but at
you.
the same time, let's even go away from the breakup times now. But times the career-wise and personal growth, personal career-wise, individuals, class, study, everything.
Yeah.
There are times that you actually just want to say, I want to drop out.
My
but you're
sister.
not dropping out.
How do you
understand?
know?
It's something
Like,
Nigerian students will actually tell you that,
As
at this point in time, school was very, very, very
very
tough and
stressful.
everything. But then, most of the time, most people don't know what to do. They just think that the best way to go out of that situation is to go out and go and play. But at the same time, sometimes when you play, you still come back and meet.
You still come back and meet that same
this world.
stuff you're
So
running away from.
what advice would you give to somebody right now? Because we're still talking about figuring out our chapter, what chapter of our life is. So at that point now, let's talk like a student, somebody that is talking to students. What would you advise a student going through tough times right now?
Yeah, so just imagine how life would be without difficulties. If everything was smooth, everything was rosy, like our muscles, our mental muscles won't develop. They'll be soft and flowery. They need those hardships in order to develop. So if you're running away from school stress, do you know how stressful the outside world will be? If you can't face school stress from now, how would you face the stress of the job market, of your boss, of your clients? Okay, so school stress is just like a build-up. It helps you to build your character. When you know how to face it from now, by then you'll be like, it's got nothing on me, because you've paid your dues right from here.
Yeah.
So you don't have to chicken out. You don't have to run away from the stress. Face it head on. Face it and overcome it, because you can.
Okay, thank you. Is there a process whereby, apart from thinking about it now, is there a physical process whereby I have to know that this is the chapter of my life and this is what I'm going to do?
Of course, yeah. Sometimes there will be physical markers. Like sometimes you will just know that, yes, this is where I am at this moment. Not that sometimes for some days you just don't feel like talking to anybody.
Yeah.
You just want to be on your own. You just want everywhere to be quiet. You just want to reflect and meditate. So on days like that, if you feel that way, you can just take the time out, spend some time with yourself alone. Okay, you can go to a quiet place if you want. You can pray, you can meditate, you can write stuff down, because at those points your character is building themselves up. But a lot of people, we ignore this side of us. When those time comes, they probably go out to party, drink, be with someone else, and that phase goes away. But then by the time it's coming back, they won't be prepared to deal with it anymore. So when it comes like that, just take that time out to rest and rewind and rejuvenate.
Okay, so right now you've had all what Miss Oluwaseun Mohammed has said. Take break, reflect on yourself, go take some time out to think about what you're going to do. This is chapter of my life. I need to do this, I need to do that. I need to let people know that at this time I'm trying to figure out something. And with that, we are still going to talk more on figuring out the chapter of your life. Like I said, I'm learning how to become an adult. We are still adulting, we are evolving. But by then, we'll go on a quick break. We'll be right back.
Enjoy inspirational, informative, and soul-lifting Christian programs such as Christian Parenting and Homefront, Light After Darkness, Fulfilling the Mandate, Kids and Bible, Movies Review, Shepherd's Spouse, Kingdom Stars, Teens Perspectives, My Next Gospel Event, and lots more on Divine Television. Download Divine TV mobile app on Google Play Store or watch on our YouTube channel. You can also visit www.tvdivine.net. Divine TV, enriching souls through the gospel of Christ.
You are welcome back, and I'm still glad that you are here. You're actually doing yourself a great job. So today I'm still on the show with Mohammed Oluwaseun, and we are still talking about figuring the chapter of your life. We've said some quite beautiful things, and I think I've learned a lot. So we have to continue by asking this question: that do you think it is advisable that you talk to or have a mentor? It's actually advisable to have a mentor,
Of course.
but but most people won't say this person is a mentor, but somebody that you can talk to and tell that,
course.
oh, this moment I'm trying to feel like this. What do I do? Do you think it's right to take those people advice, or first of all sit down and reflect on yourself before you now say, oh, I need to take this person's advice?
Well, like it's in both ways, and I do both of them. Sometimes I talk to people when after I have reflected, after I have spoken to myself and it's not helping, then I reach out and talk to people. But most times I'm just very independent lady, so it takes time before I voice out and tell people stuff about me. But then when I really do, whatever they say, I sit down and I now see whatever it is they've said. I match it up with what I have said to myself in the earlier conversation I had, like a me conversation. So if it doesn't match, and if it doesn't match what God has said concerning me, okay, I throw it out in the trash. Okay,
nice.
and then if it matches, of course, I take the advice and I roll with it. Then knowing the right person to talk to also helps. You just can't go talking to everybody or anybody you see around. First of all, this person needs to be emotionally mature, spiritually mature. This person has to be, it helps when the person is on the track you want to get on. Like if the person is already there and killing it, the person would be able to advise you, not someone that is way behind. And you're asking the person, what do I do? He would only advise you based on the level of knowledge he has. Right? Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. So in the process of knowing all these things, so now, you know, I still want to make it feel like a physical action, like I'm writing a storybook now. So I've titled this chapter of my life. I've written the first chapter, second chapter, third chapter. In conclusion, I already know that, oh, this is it. This is what God is saying. Okay, this is what I'm supposed to do, and this is what I'm supposed to do. But at the same time, it still goes back to saying that God, you know, taking control, say whatever, you know that sometimes you don't know. You know that this is what you're supposed to do, but you don't know if it's the right path. So you still go back to asking God that, okay, what do you want me to do? Do you understand?
Yes.
And most people will say, oh, how do I know is God talking? So now let's help them answer that question.
Right.
Like, how do you know that this is the answer? Like, is God telling you that this is what you should do?
Okay, God talks to us in different ways. There's no stereotypical way that God talks. God can talk to you through your dreams, through your inward witness, and through His word most of the time. Whatever you hear or whatever you see, still small voice, inward witness, dreams, whatever you hear, if it doesn't tally with what God has said in His word, Jeremiah 29:11, what He has said, all His promises for you, if it doesn't tally, then please, because the devil is very subtle, he's very crafty. He can come in different ways and speak like it's God speaking. And if you are not very discerning, you won't know and you will fall prey to the devil. So if whatever you are hearing and seeing, if it doesn't tally with God's word, it's not it, then there's this peace test and a joy test. If after what you are hearing, you are still feeling disturbed, it's not from God. If after what you are hearing, you are still feeling very sad and there's this weight on you, it's like a wet blanket on you, then it's not God. You must pass the peace test, the joy test, and you must also pass the word test. Then you know it's from God.
That's very, I'm taking. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that you mentioned the fact that you have to know if you have peace of mind, the test, the whole listening and knowing if it's God or not. But let's go back to you now.
Okay.
So how do you start this motivational, writing everything? Because you actually write and just people you are speaking to. So if you don't want to catch yourself as a motivational speaker, you are, by the way. So how did it come about?
Well, like I said, when I was way younger, I just tried my hands at different things. I had this ideology that I can do whatever I want to do. So I just did. I told you I once rapped. There was a time I do rap.
I can imagine.
Yeah, so I just did a lot of things. I wrote my first book when I was in Basic 4.
Really?
It wasn't published, but I wrote all rights reserved. No part of this publication was, that kind of thing.
That's it.
And I had my classmates pay 10 naira to read. If you want to read, you pay me 10 naira. Yes, I started from there. You know, this Ade and the Pots kind of stories. This the big ram and the small goats kind of stories. So that was where I started from. That is why you shouldn't despise the days of little beginning at all. I wrote on my WhatsApp status on Monday, I talked about, I have this afternoon chit chat that I do. I talked about living in the moment. Okay, I talked about trusting the process. Okay, trusting the process means that whatever level you are, it leads on to something bigger. So if you don't trust this process you are in now and you just wave it aside and take it casually, you won't be prepared for that next big step you want to take. From me that started with writing Ade and the Pot stories, I now do a whole lot of other things. I now do motivational stories. I'm a voiceover artist. I did books. I do all of other things just because I started small, little by little by little by little. Even today, just today, I had someone walk up to me and share me some things about her that I know that she won't tell anybody else. And she was practically asking me for advice. I was like, In my mind, I was like, yeah. You get. So little things like that, they add up. They add up. So if you have this nudging, if you have this desire in you to do something, don't wave it off. Just try your hands at it. It may not be really big, it may not be classy, it may not be tush. You may make mistakes. It's all cool. Make mistakes. Because in 10 years' time, 5 years' time, when you will go back to that same stage and be like, wow, so this was me back then. And you'll be happy you did.
Okay, thank you so much. And also, I need to ask you: Have you ever like feel like you've not been like you're not heard sometimes? Maybe you write on your status on Facebook and you didn't get responses.
That.
Or maybe people say no, it's not right.
That I had to outgrow this. Would I call it frenzy for Facebook likes and comments? I had to outgrow it. Like I just tell myself, if it gets visibility or not, if people like it or not, so far the word is out there, I'm cool with it. I'm okay. Like I'm not really likes and stuff. I don't know how to. Maybe I'm just me, but then I'm not really after the whole likes thing. And yes, I've had someone. There was a time I was posting about 2-3 years ago. There was this lady that would always come under the comment box. I would say A, she'll come and say no, it's B. I'll say A, she'll come, even inbox, she'll tell me no, what you're doing is wrong. I had a hard time. She really made it tough for me. But then I just realized, if she's doing this, I think she's trying to build a part of me. That is how I see things, though. If I'm going through a hard situation or any tough time, I just see, maybe this thing is trying to teach me a lesson. Maybe this thing is trying to help me on some ways. So as much as she does that thing, I just ignore her. I continue posting my stuff. Now you sabi in our word. I just ignore her, and she stopped finally.
It's funny why since when I've been expecting you to say I blocked her. But
I don't block people. Continue to shout. I just tune down the volume.
Wow.
Continue to shout.
Nice.
Nah, I tune down the volume.
Like you had, don't block people, just tune down the volume.
Just tune down. But no, if blocking works for you, some people need to shut them out totally. If that works for you, you can block. But me, before I block you, then you need to be the devil himself. But so far, you are still the little demons. I just turn you down.
You don't get power. Apart from motivation speaking, writing, and the rest, who is Oluwaseun Mohammed?
Oluwaseun Mohammed is still evolving. She's still a bag of a whole lot of surprises that are yet to be unfolded, that are yet to come to light. I want to move into acting. I want to be an actress. And I also want to be a lecturer. I want to teach. I love young children a lot. I love them so much. To every young person watching this, I love you. I love young people so much. So I want to teach them. I want to coach them. And I sing too. So I want to move into music.
That's very nice.
So yeah, that is everything there. And for those things I mentioned, I do little stuff of that low-key. Currently, I'm a newscaster at Penn Radio. Yeah, I do news. I read news.
You are still doing this many things. the old thing is
yeah,
still
but then they are related one way or the other. They are related to speaking and talking. So I'm not doing anything outside the box if you look at it objectively.
So I'm glad that you came to the studio today. But then I still need to ask about the listening to social medias. Like when you see there are a lot of motivational speakers on Instagram. So you see somebody coming out to say this and the other person coming out to say that, and you are trying to even digest it first before you know, okay, what am I even supposed to do? How do you like you said, turning down?
Yeah, like first of all, you should know that it's not everybody you listen to. It's not everybody you. Of course, you can hear, but you can't. You shouldn't listen. Hearing is just, okay, I've heard you. But listening is you now digesting what they've said, regurgitating and taking action. It's not everything you hear that you pay attention to. It's okay to hear because they will always talk. They will always be there to say their things. But if what they have said doesn't match up to what you know to be true, you shouldn't take their advice because they will always be. In fact, there will be more. I'm predicting that there will be much more motivational speakers in the years to come because since these days everybody is a motivational speaker. But then remember that first of all, you are your own motivational speaker. Nobody can motivate you the way you can do yourself. Nobody can. If when worst comes to worst, you are still the one to rise up and do that thing you want to do. You are still the one to shake off the dust off your feet. You are still the one to okay, come up for fresh air after you've been under the water for a long while, you're still the one to take that action by yourself. So you are still your number one motivational speaker, regardless whatever anybody says. So when you always recognize that I'm still my number one person. I'm still here for me. Okay? And it helps when you see yourself as a person. You know, some people see themselves as, okay, an outside person. It's just my body and my spirit and my... No. See yourself as one person. Address yourself. Every morning when you wake up, talk to yourself like I'm talking to you now.
Yeah.
Just look in the mirror and say, you this girl, I'm talking to you. I mean you. You would succeed. You would... And say positive things to yourself.
Like
that's one way. Yeah, like what's very good. That's one way to be your own motive. So along the day, in the course of your day, if you now hear anything different, that subconscious part of you that has registered what you earlier said in the morning would straightly debunk whatever negative thing you want to hear. Tell you, no. That's not what we discussed. You understand?
Yeah.
So you are still your own motivational speaker.
Okay, so can you like give us the people you listen to or you read, or like podcasts, books, or people you follow on Instagram that other people can
I listen to Joyce Meya. I listen to Samade Yemi. Samade Yemi has been Pastor Samade Yemi. Point of correction. He has been my mentor from when I was way young, and I listen to more music than talk because I'm a more music person.
So you get your inspiration from songs?
Yes, so I listen to song for the lyric. I listen to Dunsi Oyekon. I listen to Pentatonics. I love their harmonizing stuff. It gives me ideas listening to music. Yeah. So when I listen to music like that, especially music that talks about motivation, Christian music that talk about motivation, Moses Bliss. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. That's right. So, like you guys have heard from Mohammed Oluwaseun, take it one step at a time. You are your own motivation. Speak affirmations to yourself. Listen to people that say the right thing and learn how to turn down the volume. Damn, I learned a lot. Like, you guys need to know, like, legit, I'm still going to go back home and start writing now to this. I might probably call you and say, please remind me, you were saying something. So, like, I've learned a lot from this show today. Till we come your way another episode. This is Impulse, and don't forget that here we motivate people concerning life lessons and the purpose that God's are for you. Don't forget, I am Majagun Adunkansola, popularly known as Adunkansola, and we have Mohammed Oluwaseun. How should we follow you on our social media?
On Facebook, I am Sion Oluwaseun. That's Cionne Oluwaseun on Facebook, and on Twitter too. I'm also on Twitter at Sion Oluwaseun.
You can follow me on Instagram at Adunkansola and on Facebook as Adunkansola Majagun. Do not forget to like and subscribe to this channel. It is Divine TV. See you next time.